The first thing after creation was the planting of the trees in the garden. God planted a garden east in Eden. East is firstly, Eden is pleasure. Garden is a closed situation. This was a place of perfection. And here God planted all the trees, and God placed Adam in this garden. But in the middle of the garden there were two trees, a tree of life and the tree of knowledge. But this knowledge is of good and evil. Adam was to take dominion and rule in this place. But the woman, being deceived, partook of the fruit and gave to Adam, and in disobedience the wrong seed entered the human race. All the trees in the garden was condemned, and we follow the story in Adam and Eve's lives, and they had to leave the garden. The story of trees can be followed right through the Bible. Trees resemble people. In Judges 9, we find all the trees coming together to find a king who rule. And everyone had an excuse, and at the end the bramble rule, which means it's heading for destruction. From the time of Babylon, we see the judgment of nations. These were the big trees that came from the Lebanon of God, who received their strength and their glory from their roots deep in the waters. In the beginning we see that the Spirit hovered over the waters, which is the darkness that was deep. And when God said, "Let there be light," there was no more darkness on the deep. But these trees is the DNA that came through the flood. And it's a spirit of self-upliftment, but every spirit of self-upliftment carries the seed of self-destruction. The prophets warned of the chopping down of these trees, Egypt, Babylon, Tyre, and in Isaiah 10, we see that all the trees were now chopped down. Isaiah 11, only one stump remained out of the root of Jesse. Job says, "There is no more hope. Our hope is in the grave, but there is hope for a tree. Though it is chopped down, it will sprout again." Talking about this root of Jesse, the stump that produced the branch. This branch resembled Jesus Christ, and it came from this root, and it had and carried the 7 spirits of God. The Spirit of God is on it, the spirit of wisdom, understanding, counsel, might, knowledge, and the fear of the Lord. This branch restores the defect in humanity. He had knowledge, but this time with the fear of the Lord. This was the tree of life. And now the tree of life had to be nailed to the tree of knowledge of good and evil. The tree of life has 6 branches. 6 is the number of man, but with God 7. 7 means God working on earth. And the tree of life was now nailed to the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, so we can eat again. Out of this tree comes the river of life, and on both sides of the river is the tree. The river came from the tree, and Ezekiel saw this river in 4 stages: ankle deep, knee deep, thigh deep, shoulder deep. When we taste of this fruit, we can see again, but when we eat, we can live. And this river opens up from our inside, a river that will never run dry. The true life has now come into the world. Jesus tasted death for us, so we can taste of life and enter this place where death is now swallowed up by life. Jesus also went to prepare a place for us, and the kingdom is the place where we can grow in time unto perfection. He has forever perfected those he loved, and his intention for us is to grow into the full stature of the full measure of the Christ. Christ in us is the hope of glory to our inheritance, but our inheritance is in him. In him, the 2 biggest words ever to be used on the face of the earth. Time is the goodness of God that has brought all this plan and purposes of God, the deep of God, into action unto man's full restoration, to enter the place where Adam left. Adam lost the likeness, but when we see him, we shall be like him, and we shall know him as we are known.